Advancing the cause of liberty takes more than just coming up with ideas. It means making them happen. This is Society and the State. Life, liberty, and your pursuit of happiness. Now, your hosts, Connor Boyack and Brian Hyde.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. As we said, as we introed the show at the beginning, we're going to be talking about a lot of different issues. We'll get into the political and philosophical realm. We'll get into entrepreneurship and business. And I'm super excited about today's guest because it's something that a lot of people outside of our home state of Utah aren't aware of. It's this company called Homey, which is disrupting the real estate industry. So we have today as a guest the CEO of Homey, Johnny Hanna. Johnny, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I've been following in our policy work for several years a lot of these companies that are disrupting, the tried and true method of doing things, the status quo. And Homey came onto the scene just a few years ago, and you're trying to disrupt the real estate space. Why don't you help our listeners first understand what it is you guys do, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So what we do at Homey is we're automating the entire process of buying a home and selling a home. So we've started out automating the realtor. And the big piece there is the 6% commission. So when you go to sell a $400,000 home, that's $24,000 that you end up giving the realtor. That's what 6% is. So we've automated that on the buy side and the sell side. So we can help you buy a home without an agent and sell a home without an agent. And we've recently moved on to automating the mortgage piece. So we've become a mortgage company to give you a home loan at the lowest price possible as well. So it's essentially no closing costs, no commissions. That's where we are today, but we're moving forward to automate everything all the way to title and escrow. That's our vision.
Wow, that's huge. And let me ask, you said automate, right? So could Homey have existed 20 years ago before, tech and a lot of this automation, or is Homey made possible because of, the internet?
It is definitely made possible because of the internet. I don't know if we could have existed 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's interesting. And as I said, in our policy work, we've looked at, Uber and Lyft disrupting the taxi industry, and you see the opposition and you see the organized even, right? The organized opposition of taxi drivers and unions fighting back to protect, the comfortable status quo. You look at Airbnb, right? And VRBO disrupting the hotel space. People let me ask you this from a broader perspective. Having worked on policies dealing with a lot of these other industries as these companies have come out and begun disrupting, what I find, and I'd love your reaction to this, is that I think people generally are now very comfortable with disruption. Disruption is expected, it's welcomed, people want it. Do you sense anything different, or do you think that that's kind of an accurate reflection of society where we've become comfortable with disruption of existing industries?
I agree with you, and I think it's only happened within the last couple of years that people have become comfortable with it, even to the degree where I think it's cool. It's now a cool thing. Our policymakers here in the state, I think, love disruption. They all will speak about it all day long, but I don't think that was the case a couple of years ago.
And you say here in the state, so we're in Utah, but we have many listeners outside of the state. So let's talk about Homey. You guys, as I understand it, you've started here. This is where your company is headquartered. And I remember reading that you guys are soon going to be expanding to Nevada and potentially beyond. So talk to us about what the expansion of Homey looks like here in the future.
Yeah, we've wanted to jump, I think, into other areas as soon as we started the company, but our focus has been just really nailing down our processes, making sure everything's lined up perfectly because it is a very heavily regulated industry. We want to make sure that what we're doing from a software perspective, a process perspective, is just nailed here in Utah before we scale nationwide. So our investors have agreed with our plan to kind of stay in Utah here for just a few more months. We've been here for about 2 years now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we plan to open up probably 2 new metro areas here in a few months. And then once those areas are up and running and the flywheel's turning there, we plan to do a nationwide launch.
Johnny, having recently had to market a home for sale, I want you to know Homey caught my attention. But what really got my attention too was there is a very stubborn mindset within particularly the real estate industry. Well, now this is the way it's always been done, and if you don't do it this way, I don't know, I was kind of made to feel guilty for not going through a traditional agent. I mean, I love my real estate friends, but there are alternatives. What does it say to you when you get opposition or when you get pushback? What does that tell you about the impact that your business is having?
It's complete validation. So we've had several billboards up and down I-15 here in Utah, and the local association put up billboards either before hours, across the highway from hours, or right after hours. And it was just totally evident that they were threatened. And it's just pure validation to our model. But yeah, we have, it's somebody's job. And so they're going to fight for their job and try to argue that that they should make $24,000 on a $400,000 home. But in today's day and age, it's not necessary anymore.
You just said, Johnny, something that I think is indicative of so many of these disruptive fights, and that is that these individuals, rightly so, justifiably so, want to fight for their job, right? We have people right now fighting for $15 minimum wage, because they want more. We have the car dealers fighting against Tesla because they think that the model is going to undermine their ability. But what we see so often is not just fair competition of, sparring billboards on a freeway and trying to, get people to come over. What we see more often is the trend of protectionist policies that disenfranchise the disruptive upstarts. What has Homey seen, or what do you anticipate the battle looking like, especially as you expand, in terms of having to fight not only competitively against, real estate agents or whatever, now the mortgage industry or whatever you're going to enter, but having to deal with policy and having to deal with these government impositions in your path?
Yeah, we're currently regulated by the Division of Real Estate here in Utah, and our clients love us because we save them $10,000 on average per family with a
Wow.
average size of home here in Utah. But the complaints that go to the division against us are not from clients; they're from realtors, and there's 18,000 agents here in Utah. So I've had to become very good friends with the Division of Real Estate to help them see that they're not client complaints. But they're complaints from the realtor. So the division, by just due to their job, they have to investigate complaints that come in, and make sure everything's going as planned. But I think they've realized that these complaints are more out of fear, and they don't have validity to them. But yeah, I just came from the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce this morning. I was just in a meeting with them, letting them know that we envision kickback from the local association of realtors. They have one of the most powerful lobby groups here in the state. They fund our senators, our representatives. They're one of the biggest contributors when these guys are fundraising. So I don't think they're just going to roll over and let us continue to dominate the market. We're anticipating that they're going to try to use the law to stop us, and change something that might affect the way we do business. So we're getting out there telling our story to the local representatives and senators and other influencers like the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce and other business leaders, just letting them know we're a software company. We're an alternative to the traditional real estate agent. All we care about is letting the industry decide, letting the market decide. We're not trying to regulate them out of business, and we would ask that you don't regulate us out of business.
Innovation has played a big role in modern life for quite some time. When the automobile industry came along, the buggy whip makers complained, "Hey, what about our industry?" But I think all of us would agree our lives are measurably improved by the fact that we don't have to load up a horse and buggy to travel, between cities. Are you having success in helping some of the people on the real estate industry side of the question recognize that this kind of innovation actually opens up opportunities and maybe even careers which have yet to be invented?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we use some of those same examples that you just used. I look at Amazon. I'm not out there trying to destroy Barnes and Noble or other grocery chains, but my wife and I, we order all of our books through Amazon. We love it coming right to our door. We order diapers through Amazon, not that we hate Walmart or Target, but it creates so much more value, and we can get it at a much lower price. And yeah, more jobs are created. Amazon's moving here to the state. We've hired over 50 people here at Homey. So these tech companies hire more and more people, and just positions and careers evolve, and new jobs pop up that once didn't exist. So we try to educate as much as possible through our blog posts, through anything that we do on podcasts such as this, to let people know that, you shouldn't fear change. This is just natural, and to recognize technology and the benefits that it will have actually to our society.
Johnny, let me ask you this. I've bought and sold a couple homes before Homey came along, and the last couple homes that I sold, I did something called flat fee MLS, which for our listeners who don't know, rather than hiring a seller's agent, we did the work ourselves. We did the showing ourselves. The realtor that we worked with had just a low flat fee. That allowed he would help with the paperwork at the very end, but then we offered a buyer's agent to incentivize the realtors out there to, bring people to us, and then we listed online and so forth. And one of the things that I saw in response to us choosing to do flat fee MLS was a criticism that I've heard levied against Homey as well. And that is that buying a home is such a complicated process. It's your biggest asset. You have a ton invested in this property. You don't want things to go wrong. There's so much fear injected into this process of uncertainty and doubt and what if that, that's why you need your trusted realtor who can do it all for you. How much of Homey's struggle to grow or current opposition is based in that fear of uncertainty, and therefore, that's why you need a realtor? And how do you address and then resolve that fear of this very complicated process where a lot of money is on the line?
Yeah, I think that's the greatest attack against us. I think that's the best marketing they can do is spreading fear, and they've been able to do it. They've done a great job, and so, I think they've been able to stay in place because of that fear. But the truth about what we're offering, and even what you went through with your flat fee broker, is that you still have professionals. You have people to hold your hand. Here at Homey, we feel that it's actually a better experience, and you'll actually be more protected buying a home through us because we have real estate lawyers, people who went to law school, versus somebody who may just have gone to school for 2 weeks to get their license, and they're now a licensed agent. So, and with data and technology, you don't have the bias of a human. And if you hire an agent, they don't know every single area in a city, in a certain metro area. They're just going to be reading it from something they printed off online. So you may as well just read it online and then use a lawyer to help you with the paperwork. So that's our argument for Homey, that, our technology, it does so much for you, but to hold your hand and give you the comfort that, this is a big transaction, the biggest of your life, you probably ought to actually have a lawyer in addition to a realtor. And on the East Coast, it's required in many states that you have a lawyer in addition to your realtor. Here in Utah, we just decided, let's add a lawyer to every transaction and give people that comfort in addition to them using the software. And we've just been able to whittle that fee down from $24,000 to a few $100s.
Johnny, you're the CEO of a disruptive tech company, and a lot of the tech companies that people are familiar with in this disruptive sharing economy space are insulated, have a ton of people on staff. The companies have grown very large. You guys are still quite early and small. Help our listeners understand what working at Homey and building Homey up has been like for you as an entrepreneur. What's the emotional struggle? I mean, do you feel like David against Goliath? Is your work just very stressful because of the opposition you face, and you're trying to upend, or perhaps not upend, but provide an alternative to a very large, well-entrenched? What is this experience like for you? Help our listeners understand what it's like to be Johnny.
Yeah, it's extremely challenging. There's no question there, but I think there's excitement in being the David to the Goliath. Like, we know that this is inevitable. We know from having now done thousands of transactions that this is inevitable, whether it's Homey that becomes the name brand nationwide of how to buy or sell a home, or somebody else. We've now experienced the inevitability of it. So that's where it's just exciting. We know David's going to beat Goliath. So there's so much excitement here at work, even though we're small, but we have so many great wins that continue to occur on a daily basis. We have great investors that just love what we're doing. Big name Silicon Valley investors are behind us. We have more big names that are continuing to reach out to us. But I think the most impactful thing that we see is that these families, after they buy or sell a home, they're like, wow, I didn't realize it was that easy. And the reviews they leave us are just off the charts in positivity we're saving, I mentioned 10,000 on average, but some people have saved $40,000, 50,000. We're dealing with bigger homes that just take longer to sell because there's fewer buyers. But those people save even more money. And that money that goes back to the economy, we've talked to all these economists, and they said that's now discretionary income that, they didn't expect to have. But now that, values of homes have risen, they're shocked with the amount of equity they now have in their house. And economists have told us that's about a 2 to 3x multiplier back into the economy. So we've saved over $9 million so far in actual cash. So you put that multiplier on it. And I feel like our existence in a city could benefit the local economy.
Well, and I see it too. You guys provide a solution for people who have not seen their home appreciate in value enough to sell it through traditional means, right? Like you have to accumulate enough equity such that when you sell your home and lose 6%, that you still at least break even, if not hopefully get more. And so people, especially after the recession, you end up upside down in your home. You have to maybe move, but then rent it out and then have to deal with renters, and nobody likes that, right? But now for your guys' fee, which is what, under $1,000 is what I read.
Yep.
Is that right?
That's right.
Anyone, I see it creating a lot of mobility, frankly, right? Because people, if change jobs or sickness or want to be with family or whatever, they can get out of a home much more easily with Homey because you guys are lowering that barrier to mobility.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything you just stated, we're doing a blog post on, which is really ironic. So I'm glad you brought that up. But in terms of
you'll
mobility,
give me attribution, right? Is that
we will.
Okay.
We will.
All right.
So in terms of mobility, taking it a step further, it's always made more sense for people to rent versus buy when you're only going to be there a year or two. Mm-hmm. Now that you're eliminating commissions and closing costs, it makes more sense to buy versus rent. And the mobility, you can turn around and sell that home in a month and be out of it and not lose money, not have to, wait for the home to appreciate 6-7% to pay all those commissions off that were included. So we think this could be this could be a big game changer just in that market, because rent, at least here in Utah, it's almost a third higher than what mortgage costs. So people could save money paying mortgage, turn around and sell their home, have that mobility versus being locked into a 12-month lease in an apartment.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Johnny, being on the leading edge of disruptive technology as you are, I want to believe you probably have your finger on the pulse of some of the other disruptive technologies out there. Are there any others outside of your field that you have become aware of as you've been building Homey?
I think everybody is looking to solve pain with technology. So yeah, I think that everything is going to be automated. One of my pain points that it just popped into my mind. I know this isn't probably game changing for a lot of people, but
diaper delivery, is that what you were referring to earlier?
Well, they have that. That's there, but scheduling people to go play hoops at the local church. It's reaching out to people. There's now apps and technology that can gather everybody together. There's a local company called Blacktop that's looking to take that on. I also like the idea of technology holding our representatives accountable. And I'm really excited about that. I think there's a lot of technology out there that can show what people are voting for this second, instead of waiting till elections and reading up on what your senator representative did. They can be held accountable, and you can vote for current policies. So there's tech that's going to be coming out to add more transparency to our government, which I'm excited about as well. But yeah, just in all aspects of life, there will be data and at our fingertips on our smartphone. So, and just easier accessibility, ease of use, just making life much more efficient in all aspects.
Well, and that's what I love too. Like I think about Airbnb, which my wife and I use a lot, and our kids love staying in someone's home versus, this stinky hotel room or super expensive, nice smelling hotel room that we can't afford. And just the culture, and you meet the owner, and you are in the neighborhood and in the community and playing basketball like you're saying. I see the great thing about tech, and especially the sharing economy, is that it's enabling people to work better together, right? Like you're taking out these intermediaries. Like the thing that I always found awkward in real estate was you'd never talk to the person who's buying your home. Like, oh no, you must stay at arm's length. You're going to keep distance. You shouldn't talk to these people. I love how tech is bringing people together in a common cause for these transactions of buying, selling, working together, playing together. To me, that's the greatest value. Johnny, I'm super excited about Homey. I love seeing this disruption generally. And as you said, maybe it's not Homey 10 years from now, but you guys are certainly a pioneer. And obviously, a lot of people outside of Utah are probably now, a little frustrated, like, oh, I wish this existed because I have to sell my home. So hopefully soon. But tell our listeners for now where they can follow Homey and how they can learn more.
Yeah, you can go to our Facebook page. It's just facebook.com/Homey. We have homie.com, HOMIE.com. And if you're, looking at a loan as well, it's homie.com/loans. So yeah, we really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys.
Sounds good, Johnny. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So we'll put the links, as Johnny said, on societyandthestate.com/7 is the episode for today. We've got a super exciting guest on our next episode. So do make sure that you're subscribing. We're on iTunes and Stitcher. You can go to societyandthestate.com and find the direct MP3 link if you want. Share this online. We're very eager to build up an audience and continue getting these interesting ideas and insights out to a broader audience. So your help is appreciated. We hope you subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Society and the State. For show notes, archives, and more great content, visit societyandthestate.com.